Well, good morning and welcome to Cooler Talk with Rhonda and Cynthia. Cynthia's been slightly delayed this morning. I know she'll be popping on any minute soon. Usually we're just a couple of people that like to talk about life experiences. We're not professionals. None of this is professional advice, the things that we talk about, but we do hope that you can relate and connect, and maybe it'll make your day go a little bit easier. And if you want to buy us a cup of coffee, well, we would sure appreciate it because, as those of you who know me, I love my coffee. Yum, yum. Okay. Today's topic is about letting go. And I'm going to start with a quote by April Green. And Green, there it is. Let it go, then see what kind of magic returns in its place. Because I promise that um, what's for you will never reach you while you're clinging to something else. And that something else could be a relationship that's gone bad, it could be detachment from family, friends, pets, animals, death, any kind of life situation. Then you feel that you're clinging on. There she is. Okay. And hello.
I didn't want to interrupt you. You were on a roll. So you were saying clinging on.
Yeah, yeah, clinging on. Anything you might be clinging on that happened in the past that you, in your mind's eye, you keep trying to change over and over and over. And that's just a delusion because you know that you can't change something that's already occurred or happened. Um, so letting go opens you up
Mhm.
to new opportunities and new things and new people and new things to happen. So if you're
Yes.
holding yourself back, if you're not letting go and you're clinging and hanging on to things that no longer serve your better purpose. And with that, I want to welcome Cynthia here. Glad you could join us. Sorry for the delay there. And
Sorry.
but you're here. That's really all that matters. So,
Yes. Thank
what do you have to say about letting go, Cynthia?
well, I think you really sort of hit the nail on the head. I think one of the things that I wanted to add about letting go is sometimes we're not even aware that we're clinging on.
Mhm.
And I actually stumbled upon this in an Eckhart Tolle book, and this time I'm talking about The Power of Now, which I have started to read. And um, he was describing this moment like that, like you are holding on to a set of keys, let's say, or holding on to a pen, and you're just holding it because you know that you can't lose it, right? And you
Mhm.
go through the motions, and your grip is kind of like tightening on it, and then it kind of reaches that discomfort sort of like fades. Even though it exists, you're just not aware of the discomfort anymore, and that grip kind of like just becomes like a natural state, or the normal, where you're just sort of like clinging on to those keys, right? But you almost don't know why anymore. And when you have to let go of the keys, your fist even feels uncomfortable when it opens up, because it's like, what? My hand needs to be opened? Like, this is not natural. It's so used to like holding on so tightly. And I think that's one of the things that for me was eye opening, because it's like, yeah, sometimes that discomfort can be internalized and normalized by you, to the extent that you don't even realize that you're doing it, and that like some habits, you you don't even know that you have them to let go of. So there's like a little bit of a allowing yourself to to be sensitive to discomforts that you might have normalized. Yeah. So yeah, I did a little bit of searching around the topic as well. And there's, I think one of the things that everybody sort of says is, and you had mentioned this about thoughts as well, that the thoughts keep turning, like they're trapped in your mind. But sometimes we don't really kind of focus on the emotion
Mm-hmm.
and just being fully present in the emotion and being okay with it, not, you know, not judging it or evaluating whether it's a distressful feeling or a negative feeling versus a positive feeling, but just kind of like feeling it and observing it and being able to kind of breathe into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's such a layered topic. And I know that we all have things that we cling to, whether we're conscious of it or not. So, yeah.
I'm typing.
I feel like I just kind of like overwhelmed the moment, but I really enjoyed reflecting on this topic over the past few days. There was something else I stumbled on, and that has to do with forgiving and forgiving others. And I think sometimes when we talk about letting go, we think about letting go in our relationships. Like sometimes in our relationships, we do grow accustomed to certain patterns, and sometimes we fall into those patterns almost by default, but not necessarily sort of like with a consciousness anymore that you would approach a new friendship or a new relationship. And I think there's also room to, let's say, let go of those old patterns and an opportunity to enter those relationships anew. And that can be tricky because sometimes there has been a lot of, there is kind of like a holding on to expectations of certain responses based on past experience. I mean, I work in an office space, so, I have a lot of run-ins and sometimes with, repeat offenders. um, and it is tricky to kind of like just enter an interaction with, say, a coworker who's known for, like giving you an assignment at the last minute anew. Like really just sort of saying, approaching that relationship or that interaction afresh every time. That can be a bit challenging as well, but I think that's something that could be contemplated in letting go. We don't have to hold on to the past and our expectations built on the past. So,
Yeah, there are some people that no matter what you do, no matter what you try, they simply won't like you.
yeah,
They're just
yeah,
not your people. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Um, and I don't know who authored this quote, but I'm typing something that a friend of mine sent me recently. But the world is also filled with those who will love you fiercely. The ones
Mm,
who love you, they are your people.
mhm,
Know this, and this is
mhm.
still typing, um, that
I
you are
love that.
not, uh, where'd it go? Know this, you are not,
Everyone's cup of tea.
that's right. Don't waste your finite time and heart trying to convince the people who aren't your people that
Yep.
you have value. It's just not your people.
Absolutely. And maybe I'll also just insert, because I find this quote really inspiring. This is a great find, Rhonda, that um, the world is also filled with those who will love you fiercely,
Yes.
like you said, but you have to be your first
Mhm. That's
champion.
right.
You know, you have to be your first champion, and that is actually something that I feel like I am my tendency to sometimes be self-deprecating or self-critical or just tough on myself, tougher on myself than I am with others. That is a habit that I am in the process of learning to let
Mhm.
go. But I think it's important. It's very important actually to sort of put yourself first you know, so that you can acknowledge and can receive love when it comes at you.
Mhm. So you can politely wave
Yeah.
them on.
The ones who are not your champions, you can, I love myself anyway. I love it. Don't waste your finite time and heart trying to convince the people who aren't your people that you have value. They will miss it completely. They won't buy what you're selling. Don't try to convince them to walk your path with you because you will only waste your time and your emotional good health. You are not for them and they are not for you. You are not their cup of tea and they are not yours. Oh gosh. I should turn this into a poster.
Well, that's what I'm typing from.
Is it a
Yeah,
poster?
it's a post
That's
one of my
great.
friends I I copied from her. I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know who the author is. Someday I'll find it. Um,
I love it. I love it. Yeah, and letting go is a essential element in that journey. You also have to let go of the idea that every step of the way in your life experience, that there will be somebody by your
yeah.
side. And that is not easy because life is better with
It,
company.
it,
But it has to be
that's
the right
right.
company.
That's right. And I've and when I was younger, I think maybe I was guilty of this too. That I was kept the company of unloving people because it was better than not having anyone around at all. But those were the days
Mm,
when
mm,
I didn't know um, that love came from within. It didn't come from the outside world. You
mhm,
can't depend upon the outside world to give you peace, love, and harmony. It has to come from within
mhm,
your own heart and your own soul. And I
mhm.
think that's a big lesson over life to learn. And it's all part of the process. A lot. I mean,
Yeah.
as time goes on and we have our experiences, we respond and react to them. Hopefully, we learn from those
Mhm.
lessons and become better people as a result. Um, and
Mhm.
so, overcoming those perceived rejections is very, very difficult to let go. I mean, how many times, how many
Mhm.
years do people go by? I don't understand why this is happening. I don't understand why they're so mean to me. I don't understand why they're so disrespectful. Well, it because they're not your people. Yep, there's
Right.
not a connection
And
there, and you can't force it. If you're with your
right.
people, you feel peace, love, and harmony. You have openness. You can talk about anything without feeling offended or threatened because
Mhm.
you're your people. So those other people politely wave them along and you move away as well. Seek to share your path with those who
Yeah.
recognize and appreciate your gifts. who you are.
And that's the thing, like, you can control what you're holding on to.
Yes.
You can't expect to make somebody else change.
Mhm.
You can't expect for the key to feel different under in your
Mhm.
grip, right? But you can release your
Yes.
grip. It's just a matter of knowing, of recognizing, "Oh, I'm holding on to something here that's no longer serving me or never
Mhm.
served me." Whatever the awareness is, that you have agency over what you
Mhm.
continue to hold
Yeah,
on to.
definitely. Uh,
Yeah.
definitely.
I love that example because I know that I have also held on to relationships far beyond, that, let's say, the healthy
Mhm.
learning, the healthy life
Mhm.
experience exchange
Or,
aspect.
you can
You know,
gauge if the people you're around are your people by just how you feel when you're around them. Do you feel joyful and uplifted,
fitting.
or do you feel like
Uh-huh.
kind of restricted, like you don't belong, you know?
Mhm. And even on your way to meeting those people,
Yeah,
like, you will see there's a
yeah.
shift. Like, I remember some of the early days when I was, in love. Actually, when my very first boyfriend, like, at first, before as you were, like, on your way to his house, or as I was on my way to his house, I'd get excited and I'd feel good. And then somewhere, like a month down the line, I mean, I was very young. I was a teenager. Like, I started to realize, I'm kind of like going here with obligation. I'm going here because it's the pattern. It's a Friday night, it's a Saturday afternoon, whatever. This is what we do. We hang around the school parking lot or whatever. But I did it more because it was a habit than, something that excited me or that I could really look
Mhm.
forward to. And that's, like, when you start to notice that shift, then that says a lot, and it shouldn't be overlooked. That's becoming the set of keys that you're gripping, and, and you're complaining about your hand being so tense.
For sure, for sure. And,
Yeah.
you know, by holding on to things, we're actually, my personal experience has been by holding on to things, I'm denying myself the chance to have something better. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, that habit, being in the habit of, um, I don't know, I give her better lack of word, what's coming to mind, being in the habit of feeling suppressed is a habit.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's not north and it's not normal, and I don't believe it's God's intention for us to be on this earth to be suppressed and restricted and withheld from
Mhm.
the joys that are available to us in this world. So Susan
Right.
Gale said life doesn't
Right.
always go according to plan. Sometimes heading in a new direction can be scary until you realize you're headed toward a new and exciting destination.
For a fact.
Mhm.
And it's I have somebody near me in my life, and I'll just say for the record, it's not my mom nor my husband, but someone that I interact with quite a lot. And I've realized not too long ago that her default is to say no. So that she is holding on to a sense of, I don't know if it's a sense of holding on to a sense of security, or a sense of, if if I don't change or if nothing changes and everything stays the way it is, I'm safe. But the problem is the world keeps
Yeah, it
turning.
does.
And as it's turning and as people are inviting you to explore something new or exciting, if your default is to say no, you're missing out, you know? And I've heard from mutual friends saying, you know, well, I'm kind of tired of like asking her to do this or to go and, you know, help with that or join us for this because she literally always says no. And then maybe she'll kind of like try to insinuate her way back into the picture when she realizes it's safe, but sometimes it's too late. And then it puts the onus on us to kind of say, like, well, you know, it now it's harder to plan around this new, you know, body. If you would just kind of like trust us or yourself and just say yes as a default, at least when it's involves your friends, things might be a little bit easier for
I
you.
read something recently about introverts, and
Mm,
it's the and it to ad lib what it said. It was like introverts want to be invited to things, but they don't really want to go. They want to,
mhm.
but they want people to. It's kind of like wanting to know that people care, but you don't
Right,
really want to leave your cozy little house with the kitty on your lap, nice and safe and
right,
cozy. Um, yeah, my mom
right.
used to just had a really rough time with me because I wouldn't want to go out to all these social occasions. And she actually made me go. I would get, coerced into it. And I just would have preferred staying at home where it was peaceful and quiet and I didn't have to interact with anyone.
Right.
Oh, interesting. Lots of
And
introverts are
and
interest.
that's
It's interesting to learn about slowly learn about introverts. It's like, yeah, I want to be part of the big wide world, but I'd rather stay home and be in my little cocoon. She might be an introvert.
you know, she
Yeah.
might be, but I think the crux of the story was that, you know, she's holding on to a fear of what might happen, but then she tries to, you know, like include herself sort of through the back door, and sometimes it doesn't really work that way. And the point isn't actually about like she should change. I mean, I love her dearly, but it is about like recognizing that like this might be a tendency that I'm holding on to because I believe that it
Mm.
makes me
Well,
safer.
the bottom line is you're
Whereas
welcome to join us if you want. I'm not going to try to talk you into it, but the door's open. Just let us know if you want to join us and leave it at that, you know.
if you can, but if you know if the doors close on you know buying the tickets, then
Then you miss
you
out.
know like we couldn't get the ticket
Then
for
you
you
missed
missed
out.
out, right?
It's
And
plain
there have been
you missed out.
you've
It's plain and simple. You missed out. Yeah,
you missed
so
out. And so then it's kind of like I hear that you actually turned around and did want to
too
be part
late.
of this, but your default is to say no, and we've reached the point where it's sort of like, okay, well then if it's a no, then it's
Yeah,
we respect
right.
that. Like we're not going to try to change your let's say introvert
Well,
ways,
that's why
you know, but
RSVPs and so on and so forth. You have until this date to give us an answer. And if you waited a day
mhm,
later and it's a ticket situation, too late. Sorry, you waited too long and we did give you a deadline. Um, some
yep,
things are flexible, some things are not flexible, and you can keep inviting the
yep,
person. But something that I did learn a long, long time ago was a friend, a roommate, and when I lived in Cleveland, my housemate, she said her mother told her once if you keep declining these invitations, they're going to stop coming. So,
Pretty
you got to
much.
think about
I mean,
the unconscious message you're sending other people. But it's like that story I
mhm,
told you earlier that, if you're not everybody's cup of tea, and maybe they're not your cup of tea, but you're not capable. Maybe you don't understand that you don't know that. Like
right.
it's like, okay, I know I need to socialize and I know I want to be around people, but what's holding me back from,
Maybe I'm
yeah,
not
what's
the
holding me
person.
back from being wanting to be around these other
Mhm,
people? What's holding me back? Can we be honest with ourselves
mhm,
and say, they're really not my cup of tea? It's okay. They're good people and I like them, but I just don't want to spend my
right,
time with them. And it's not personal. It's
right.
just what your cup of tea. Don't waste your time, finite time and heart trying to convince the people who aren't your people that you have value. So if this person
Correct.
doesn't value their time and companionship with you, it doesn't mean you're not a good person. It just means, you know, you don't want what they're selling. Don't try to convince them to walk your path, because if you'll only waste your time and your
Oh, yeah.
emotional good health. You're not for them and they are not for you. You are not their cup of tea and they are not yours. There's no judgment there. It just is. Spend the kind time with the people who you feel joyful to be around. If you feel threatened or intimidated, not good enough, well, then they're not your people, because you are good enough and you have value. You just need to learn to be able to, without judgment, just say, no, I'm, thank you so much for the invitation, but no, thank you. And then eventually people will stop asking you, because you're not indicating you want to spend time with them.
It's about being honest with
Yes, it
yourself.
is.
So it means letting go of the
Well,
lie.
what I think so much in society is would've, could've, should've. Would've, could've, should've. And if you're going somewhere because you feel a strong obligation to do so, well, that says a lot. Um, if you're doing good things for other people, but complaining about it at the same time, then your heart is not in the right place. You're doing it
Mhm.
because you feel you have to do it. Well, guess what, people?
It's
Guess
hypocrisy.
what?
That's the definition of hypocrisy.
You People don't know they have a choice, because the people around them
Yeah.
somehow have sent the message that you don't have a choice. This is the way it is.
Tell him, Rhonda. Tell him, Rhonda, you can let go of that
Oh,
old lie.
do you know how
That
suppressed?
old
Can you
lie.
imagine how many people out there are so suppressed and denied the freedom to live their own life with joy, peace, and harmony, because somebody down the road has told them, no, you have to do it our way. You don't get me going.
Let go of
Obviously,
the
this is a
lie.
sore subject matter with me.
Y
I'm
yes.
very passionate about
Yes.
this, because for years I didn't know that I had a choice, that I had a choice to think what I wanted to think, that I had a choice to see things from my own eyes, not from somebody else's eyes. And it cost me dearly. I feel, like I could have been so much more had I been given the freedom to live my life the way I saw fit.
Had
I
you
feel
let
better. Thank
go
you.
of the bondage
God,
of society's ways and traditions. So,
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with teaching your
because you
children
do
or
have that
anybody
power.
else to be
You can
courteous
let it
and
go.
polite to other people and to treat them with respect. You don't have to like someone or respect them, but you have an obligation. You have an obligation to yourself to be a good person.
I would say you have an obligation to yourself to be true to
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
And, like I have reached the point with my friend, I'm kind of the last person
I've
standing
been
with the friend, going back to that
I've been
example.
there.
And that's fine. I mean, I've been playing a little bit of, defense between our mutual friends and her because they're tired of being rejected constantly, and
Yeah.
understandably so. And she's tired of being too late to the party, like after the party's ended, too late. And, it's kind of reached the point where I just have to kind of like be true to me and say, like, listen, you are not going to get an invitation from us moving forward. Like moving forward, you have to tell us, hey, I want to hang out with you, and then we'll say join us, but we can't initiate anymore because like it hurts us. I
It's
mean,
a
it doesn't hurt me
downer.
maybe as much as it hurts some of the others, but
It's
it
a
hurts
downer.
them.
We can't
Like,
fix
and
other yeah, we
it's
can't
a
fix other people. We can't make them want to join
so
us. We can't make we just
right,
can't make people be who they aren't and go places and do things
right,
that they don't really want to do. If she wanted to do it, she would respond to the invitation. Period. Just like
right.
anybody else. If I really wanted to spend time with other people, I would.
I would let go of my hang up about being around other people.
It's like,
It is really like the choice is completely
yeah,
personal. It never
yeah,
has anything to do with anybody else. And I think that's probably like, and I think that's maybe the one thing that I really got from Eckhart Tolle's sort of anecdote about clinging on to the keys. We have gotten so accustomed to like holding on to this because it's what I woke up doing and what I went to sleep doing, that like we're just not even
yeah, yeah,
aware that we're actually in
yeah.
discomfort.
I just looked at the clock.
Yep. We went on a
Oh, oh
rampage
boy.
today.
Well, thank you all for joining us. Really appreciate it. Again, Cynthia and I just share life experiences, our perspectives from life. We're not professionals, we're not counselors, but we do,
And we're
and we're
not
not
always
always
right.
right. No, but
We're
we
not
do
right.
share our
It's
experience,
just our
strength, and
opinion.
hope. And we hope some things we bring up will be helpful to other people. But that's totally up to you. And with that, thank you for joining us here at Cooler Talk with Rhonda and Cynthia. And we hope
Mhm.
to see you next week. Have a good one. Have a beautiful day.
Ciao for now.